What if ghosts are real? Not the way we imagine them, but something far more disturbing. What if we are the ghosts? Imagine for a moment that our universe is not the original reality. Imagine there exists another world beyond ours, a world inhabited by beings so different from us that we could never fully understand them. We'll call these beings the firstborn. To those beings, their universe is reality. Their lives are ordinary. Their children are born, they grow old, and eventually they die, just like us. But when a firstborn dies, their consciousness doesn't disappear. Instead, it undergoes a process similar to information fragmentation. The mind loses access to most of its original memories and structure. What remains becomes embedded inside a lower reality. Our reality. The result is a human birth. In other words, humans are the ghosts of dead firstborn. And every human being who has ever lived is actually the shattered remains of something that died there. Imagine a child being born. Everyone celebrates. A new life has entered the world. But somewhere else, in another universe, something has just died. Its memories stripped away, its identity fragmented, its consciousness compressed into something smaller, something weaker, a human. To us, this life feels normal, but from the perspective of that higher reality, our entire species would look horrifying. Think about how we imagine ghosts. A ghost is incomplete, confused, separated from its former life, unable to fully remember who it once was, trapped in a strange world. Now imagine how humans would appear to these beings, creatures with almost no memory of their former existence, living short lives, a faded shadow of what they once were. The firstborn are terrified of even the thought of humans, and to understand why they fear humans so much, we first need to understand the world they live in. Imagine a civilization where suffering is rare, not because they conquered it through technology, but because their universe was never as harsh as ours to begin with. Disease is almost unknown. Aging is slow. Food is abundant. Conflict is uncommon. Most firstborn live long, fulfilling lives surrounded by family and friends. Their cities are beautiful beyond anything we can imagine. Vast landscapes stretch beneath skies filled with colors that do not exist in our universe. Their world feels less like a civilization and more like a paradise. To them, fear, hunger, war, loneliness, and despair are unusual experiences. Then imagine discovering that after death, some consciousnesses may fall into another reality, a reality called Earth. A world where people work for decades just to survive, where disease can strike without warning, where loved ones die, where minds break, where every human life is a constant struggle against suffering, uncertainty, and death. To us, these hardships are normal. To a firstborn, they are horrifying. Imagine learning that your child, your partner, or your closest friend might die and awaken in such a place where they would forget everyone they ever loved, a place where pain is ordinary, a place where suffering is simply part of life. That is why the firstborn fear humanity. Humans may be living proof that something worse than death exists. We would not appear alive to them. We would appear haunted, an entire civilization of ghosts. Eventually, some of their philosophers begin proposing a horrifying possibility. Their dead loved ones might be the entities occasionally glimpsed at the edges of reality, the strange beings that appear in dreams, the unexplained intelligences encountered during altered states of consciousness, the creatures seen by those who come close to death. Most people dismiss the idea, just as we dismiss ghost stories. But the reports continue. Scattered across centuries, A witness claims they saw an impossible creature. A researcher experiences a vision during an experiment. Someone wakes from a dream with memories that feel more real than reality. None of it proves anything. But together they form a pattern, a possibility, and that possibility terrifies them. Because if humans truly are the ghosts of their dead, then every human mind contains the remains of something that once belonged to their world, and ghosts are never completely disconnected from where they came from. Sometimes they look back. Throughout human history, there have been individuals who claimed to see heaven. Mystics, monks, sages, people who spent decades training their minds through meditation and extreme concentration. Many described the same thing: a place more vivid than reality, a realm filled with impossible beauty, a world that felt strangely familiar. What if they weren't imagining it? What if they were briefly seeing the universe they came from? What if meditation isn't connecting humans to some divine realm? What if it's reconnecting a ghost with its former home? Most people never reach that state. The connection remains buried, but every so often someone digs too deep, and when they do, something unusual happens. They don't merely observe. They leave traces, the same way a ghost might leave fingerprints in a haunted house. The same way a spirit might disturb the living. Throughout history, some monks, mystics, and spiritual seekers have claimed to encounter God during deep meditation. They described overwhelming feelings of peace, boundless light, indescribable beauty, and beings that seemed far more real than anything in our world. But what if they weren't seeing God at all? The beings they perceived as angels, gods, or divine entities were simply the inhabitants of that higher reality, unknowingly observed by the ghosts of their dead. The human mind begins leaking into the higher universe, and that possibility is exactly what frightens the firstborn. For most of their history, the firstborn treated these incidents the same way we treat ghost stories. Interesting, unsettling, but ultimately unproven. But these periods of unusual activity in the human realm often coincide with unexplained disturbances in firstborn universe. Localized outbreaks of mysterious disease, sudden psychological instability, regions where physical laws behave unpredictably. The disturbances always occur near former firstborn, whose human incarnations have achieved extraordinary states of consciousness. Meditation, deep focus, enlightenment, extreme spiritual practices. Rare individuals manage to look beyond the limits of the human realm. From the human perspective, these experiences generate profound peace, wisdom, and what many traditions describe as positive spiritual energy. But energy cannot appear from nowhere. Every unit of positive energy gained within the human realm must be drawn from somewhere else. And that somewhere is the firstborn universe. As enlightened humans accumulate positive energy, an equal amount of negative energy leaks into the primal world. The effect is usually tiny, but throughout history, there have been individuals capable of generating enormous amounts of positive energy. Entire regions of the firstborn universe suffered because of them. Diseases spread, mental disorders increased, infrastructure failures became more common, natural disasters occurred at abnormal rates. To humans, these figures became saints, sages, and enlightened masters. To the firstborn, they became something else entirely: reality parasites, ghosts of the dead unknowingly draining stability from the world they left behind. Most disturbing of all, some victims insist they are being watched by creatures that should not exist, creatures with solid bodies, creatures that age, creatures that bleed, creatures that call themselves human. The reports are rare, but they all share one detail: the witness never describes the same human twice. as if countless different entities are occasionally crossing the boundary. To the firstborn, this is deeply unsettling. As research continues, an even darker theory emerges. Perhaps these are not random visions. Perhaps some humans are unknowingly possessing the firstborn. Not completely. Not in the dramatic way movies portray possession. More like interference. A temporary overlap between two minds occupying different realities. The firstborn suddenly experiences foreign emotions, foreign memories, foreign thoughts. Sometimes they even see fragments of another world. Crowded cities, blue skies, oceans, stars, things that make no sense within their own universe. To us, possession by a ghost is terrifying. To them, possession by a human is far worse. Because humans are not merely dead individuals. Humans are the accumulated remains of countless generations of the dead. And then there are the summoners. Just as humans perform seances, spirit rituals, and attempts to communicate with the dead, some firstborn become obsessed with contacting the entities they believe exist beyond reality. Most are considered eccentrics. A few are respected researchers. Others are regarded as dangerous fanatics. But regardless of motive, they all pursue the same goal: contact. Sometimes they succeed, not often, but often enough to frighten everyone involved. When a summoning occurs, the results are rarely dramatic. No portals open, no monsters appear. Instead, strange things begin happening to a human somewhere in our world. A person suddenly wakes up unable to move. Someone hears voices calling their name. Another experiences intense pain with no medical explanation. Some report feeling as though they are being pulled somewhere, as though an invisible force is trying to drag their consciousness away from their body. Doctors find nothing wrong. The symptoms eventually pass, but the experience leaves lasting psychological scars. These events occur when a human consciousness is briefly drawn toward their universe, not enough to cross over, but enough for contact, enough for both sides to notice each other. And every successful contact creates more questions, because the humans who experience these episodes sometimes return with information they should not possess. Symbols, locations, concepts, fragments of knowledge that seem impossible. Many dismiss these stories, yet they continue appearing throughout history. Always disconnected, always unexplained, as if something is repeatedly trying to establish communication. Over time, a terrifying possibility emerges for firstborn. What if humans are not becoming stronger through technology? What if they are becoming stronger through awareness? Every year, billions of humans think, dream, meditate, question reality, search for answers. Most fail. But all it takes is one. One human who remembers too much. One human who reconnects too completely. One human who finally realizes what they used to be. And that possibility terrifies them more than anything else. Because they have absolutely no idea what a fully awakened human would become. Would it still be human? Would it remember its former life? Would it be able to cross between realities at will? No one knows. But among those who study the phenomenon, one particular theory is whispered more than any other. A theory so disturbing that many refuse to discuss it publicly. The theory suggests that humans are not the ghosts of the dead. At least, not entirely. Humans are larvae, an intermediate stage, a transformation. The consciousness falls into our universe after death. It grows, changes, accumulates experiences, and after human death, it continues onward to something else. something neither humans nor firstborn can see, something further down the chain, which raises a terrifying question. If firstborn fear humans the way humans fear ghosts, then what fears them? What if they aren't the top level? What if they are also someone's ghosts? Their universe is also an afterlife, and above them may exist another reality looking down on them exactly the way they look down on us. The chain may continue forever, every universe believing itself to be the real one, but every universe serving as the afterlife of another, every intelligent species unknowingly living as the ghosts of beings they can no longer remember.